What it do, what it does, so you ain't never gotta guess what it was. I'm your host, Saint B Boomin', and we back at it again for another episode of Hip Hop C4. Yeah. Now, guys, today's subject, we're going to talk about the game and Kendrick Lamar. Is there an underlying beef between them both? Now, the narrative been floating around for the past few days that Kendrick don't mess with the game and why he don't mess with the game. But I was just listening to Akademiks last night and he actually dove a little deeper into this subject. Now, we're going to listen to what Akademiks had to say about this situation, and then we're going to go ahead and talk about it a little bit more. Let's get into this content without further ado. Let's go.
The West Coast dudes have this utter reverence for Kendrick that I'm not saying they shouldn't have, but they sweep everything under the rug like he can't be held accountable, right? From what I hear from this, and by the way, thank you to Stat Quo who heated this up, all I'm hearing is that the game feels shunned. He's a bit confused, or he's been trying to reconcile. Like, even if Kendrick was mad about that particular situation, he's trying to reconcile. However, Kendrick has gotten to a place where he feels so above the fray and everybody supports it. That's what I think is wrong with the West Coast. But when it comes to game, it's a little bit different. When it comes to game, it appears that everyone is kind of siding with Kendrick to say, no, game, you don't deserve an explanation. You don't deserve some type of respectful, conversation about what has happened with this rift with someone who used to look up to you. So the game goes for years, and he's tossing and turning, he's stirring. And by the way, shout out to Stat Quo, but he tried to remix the conversation. But we have the audio when he first said it. He said the game would call him and would be like, yo, bro, that's what I'm talking about. Like, we could play the audio. The game was upset that he couldn't get this guy on the phone. That doesn't seem like respect. That doesn't seem like a peer. That seems like someone who looks at you and looks down at you. That's why even when Wack came on, again, trying to remix the situation, because again, everybody coddles Kendrick. They're trying to remix the situation. Like, oh, no, Game could have got him on the phone. That's not what Stat Quo said Game said. He said he couldn't get on the phone with him. He said that's all he wanted. Then Wax says, oh, no, well, if the Game knew these things, which I believe Game did know, so I'm not saying Game has no fault. So we're not going to make Game victim here, right? If I'm Kendrick, I probably do have the demeanor to be like, Game, you're not some swag rapper or some trash, drill rapper. You are a rapper. You knew what was going on. You knew subliminals. It's the same way as soon as you heard a slight, hint of what could be a subliminal, you thought it was at you when it came to Dre, I See Dead People, which was the intro of Not Like Us. Okay? So that's the point. So I do believe the game, was a little bit knowledgeable. But I think the game's frustration has been growing, but he's literally said, let me see if I can find the clip again, because I had it up here yesterday. He literally said the game was saying he couldn't get the dude on the phone. Give me 1 second. I'm going to put it up there again. And as much as everyone wants to whitewash it and just kind of be like, no, there's no problem. Because, now they're trying to write the narrative that Akademiks is trying to start beef. Does this sound like someone who is very happy with Kendrick Lamar? This is the game's words to Stat Quo after Stat Quo got checked by Top Dog on a live. So the game calls Stat Quo, and this is the conversation being reiterated by Stat Quo. Listen to this.
Dot don't get on the phone with everybody, my nigga. He don't talk to niggas. This what y'all gotta
That's a flex.
Understand about Kendrick Lamar. He is not talking to everybody. He talked to Glasses. He's a very few small people that he'll get on the phone with. I think that was another thing that Game had an issue with.
Let's stop it right there. I know you guys on the West Coast, I get it, blood in, blood out, Crip up, all that type of stuff. I get it. No disrespect to y'all gangs. Keep doing your thing. But we could understand clear context. The way this was said, Kendrick doesn't get on the phone with niggas. And then that's the game's problem. We're not talking about some blogger trying to like get a confirmation from Kendrick Lamar. We're not talking about some podcast or some media member. We're not even talking about like some fucking new rapper who's trying to get him on a verse. We're talking about someone who he should have ultimate respect for because that person helped pave the way for him. That nigga helped bring him in the game. We're not, and this is why I was saying JCon was kind of looking a little weird to me. And I love his music because I'm like, at some point you gotta be able to tell when a nigga don't fuck with you. You're telling me Kendrick Lamar, who at one point probably answered your calls all the time, right? When it was time for y'all to do music or you give him a cosign, he was there all the time. But now he's gotten a place, he don't talk to niggas. And now you're calling another man to complain that he won't answer your phone. This sounds like side chick behavior to me. But let's play it again. Maybe my ears is not helping.
He's a very few small people that he'll get on the phone with. I think that was another thing that Game had an issue with. He couldn't get Kendrick on the phone. And I'm trying to explain.
Okay, excuse me? Remember, they all claim there's no issue. But excuse me?
That he'll get on the phone with. I think that was another thing that Game had an issue with. He couldn't get Kendrick on the phone.
Now, I do know that there's a bunch of K-bots and people who are endearing to Kendrick. They're going to say, well, listen, that's Dot. We hear that a lot. That's Dot, which is, and one of the great things he does PR by not saying anything. I think lack of visibility, we almost start to think that Kendrick isn't online, like he doesn't see these conversations and he doesn't see what maybe other people feel about him. So when these things come up and he doesn't react, you're like, all right, well, if a tree falls in the woods and doesn't make a sound, did it happen, right? As opposed to like other artists, they're on social all the time and they kind of have to respond. And if they don't respond, we know there's something there, right? So Kendrick doesn't respond to anything. So because he doesn't respond to this, you can't be like, oh, this is a thing that shows that maybe he does feel away. Nevertheless, I guess we just give him a blanket pass for, in my opinion, odd behavior.
And we're going to go ahead and stop it right there. So the Game was definitely frustrated that he couldn't get in contact with Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar was having everybody around Game actually come to participate in West Coast activities when he was on this legendary run against Drake after he beat Drake in the beef. This is what happened. So now the underlying issue is why Game doesn't feel respected by Kendrick. Kendrick don't respect Game because Game brought Drake to the hood in 2015 to shoot a video called 100, which is actually Whack 100's song. And ever since then, Kendrick and Top Dawg said that it was up when it came to rocking with Drake. And anyone who rock with Drake on that side can stay over there. This is how the West Coast is interpreting it. Game think he's tripping. Kendrick still ain't said nothing. And West Coast politics as usual. Get down in the comment section and let me know what you think about this subject. Do you think Kendrick has to acknowledge Game and acknowledge how he feels when it comes to a situation like this? Drake and Game are close. Game done already told y'all he picked the side. All of these underlying issues, they can't keep him under wraps. And do you think Kendrick will respond soon enough in the song? Will these politics get out of control? I don't think that they gonna get out of control enough to where there be beef on the West Coast. They come from the same city, Compton. I just don't think so. But you let me know what you think. Also, if you like content like this, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that notification bell because it pushes your boy into the algorithm. I'm your host, Saint B. Bowman. I'm gone. Peace.